What's up, DCS community? Helgato here. I wanted to make a tutorial video on the Ka-50 Blackshark. This will be my first tutorial video. We'll see how they go, and I'll keep making them. Anyways, I wanted to share my knowledge in hopes of helping somebody out who might be struggling with flying the Ka-50. Because you don't know what you don't know. So without further ado, let's get this thing started. First and foremost, I'm using Ricardo's HD blue cockpit, and this is because in the default cockpit these autopilot channels are difficult to see. Okay, so that's the reason I'm doing that. So this is your autopilot system right here. You have your pitch dampener, bank dampener, and heading hold. At a minimum, when you take off, you want those enabled, because if you don't, the helicopter is very unstable, and yes, it will feel like it's trying to kill you. So let's go ahead and take off. Personally, I don't claim to be a real Ka-50 pilot, obviously, but I push the cyclic a little bit forward and I trim. You can hear the sound there. Okay, so let's take off. Okay, now get some forward momentum. The helicopter's kind of doing its own thing right now. Hold the trim, maneuver the helicopter on the pitch you want, let go, and just let the autopilot do its thing, right? So we've got our pitch dampener, bank dampener, and heading hold on. And it's just going to keep going. If you want to come left a bit, hold the trim. Release. You only have to put minor inputs on the cyclic, and you can either more finely trim it out like I just did, because when you're flying the Ka-50 you're messing with trim all the time, at least I am. Okay, it's an extremely stable helicopter once you trim it out. So let's come right again. Hold the trim and turn. And release. Okay, now let's enable the altitude hold. Again, the helicopter will pitch forward and up and will remain at that altitude where you engage the altitude hold. A neat feature with that is the collective brake, which is right under the collective there. You need to bind that because it will change. You can change the altitude in which the helicopter will hold, and I'll demonstrate now. So engage the collective brake, and let's take it up to, or let's take it down to 25 meters. Ah, 20. Call it 20, and release the brake. So it's a hold, lower collective, and then release collective brake, and it'll hold at whatever altitude you release the collective brake at, and you can do this for descending or ascending. Alright, so for me that covers the autopilot, the pitch dampener, bank dampener, heading hold, and altitude hold. So let's turn off the altitude hold. And let's do a quick 180 like we have a target behind us and we want to get in hover and engage with Vickers. Okay, so we'll slow down. When you engage the auto hover, you want to be below 20 kph. And obviously you don't want to descend at more than 3 meters a second to avoid that vortex ring state. So of note here, on the HUD, you have that line you can see. The shorter that line is, the closer you are to a hover. Okay, so now the line's kind of going behind us, which means we're obviously going to the rear. The shorter the line is, the closer to the hover you are. Manually. I haven't even pressed the button yet. And we're obviously going about 13 kph. So now you can press the auto hover button, which will be displayed there. And it'll say radar altitude hold and auto hover. And the helicopter will, the HUD will display that circle with that square in it. So that means you're pretty much right in a hover. And what I do is I still have a little bit of controls. Just release the control slow, release the cyclic slowly. Okay, and now you're in a perfect hover. So the key is do not press autopilot or auto hover, excuse me, until you're under 20 kph, and that line on your HUD is as short as possible. Now, if you need to come down a little bit, just disengage the altitude hold. It'll still hold the hover, and then just come down slowly, and then re-engage, or use a collective brake. And release. Now the helicopter is going to hover where we released it, 27, 28 meters. And you can refine, at that point, refine your hover if you need to. Because notice we were going forward a little bit. And now the retrim, which is a trim at neutral cyclic position, is putting us in a perfect hover. As you can see by our speed there. And that pretty much concludes the trim function and the auto hover function in the Ka-50. If you learned something, please leave a comment below and let me know. You know, like and subscribe. I might be doing more tutorial videos. I like teaching people what I know. I'm not the most technically, I don't know how to put it, worded type of guy, but yeah, it's just the kind of dude I am. So yeah, next I think I'll go over the Abris and PVI 800 on how to input a waypoint and use these systems to get there. So thanks for watching. Leave a comment, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. See ya.